Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. 72nd day of the 7th year, first video. I call this protesting in festivals. I think I can be short, kind of short today. Today is Thursday, and tomorrow I will once again go in to sit and braid and do my little humble bit for Fridays for Future and School Strike for Climate. So I did want to mention that. I'm in costume. This is the way I went last week. There's a lot to be said for overalls, but here's my hammer. I went in, I open carried, and you see overalls have a loop there for a hammer. I suppose if you wanted to, you could put a gun there. Overalls are good things to wear anyway. I don't wear them a lot of time, but certainly when it gets cold, I do. There's less laundry. I mean, your overalls get dirty, but then underneath you've got clothes that wouldn't have to be washed all the time. I'm not a very good protester. The first Friday I went, I was the only one there. The second Friday there were two of us. Last Friday I was the only one there again. So I'm certainly have no charisma as a protester. I've been a little surprised, to be honest. Not so much that students didn't show up. That would have been cool. I'd love to think that there were some students that skipped school and just stayed home or something. Which would be a fine way to protest. But it might not have been as public. You'd almost have to look at the school records to find out if that kind of thing happened. I suppose I should have a sign. I don't even have a sign. I just sit there. If someone asks what I'm doing, I tell them. And people have. I've had some interesting conversations with townspeople. I found out mostly they're not so much interested in what I'm protesting or why I'm doing it. Mostly they just love to talk. And, it's people whom I would not normally meet under other conditions. Another thing with my protesting, there's this inconsistency. I'm a decentralist. To go to the center of something is an unnatural thing for me to do. I want to go away from centers. And so the best way to protest for me is, in a sense, a life that has just avoided centers of all kinds. A village center, I think I would love if I lived in a village, a small enough village. But so it's inconsistent, for me to go in and sit on the court steps of Bedford, the county seat, which is the county seat. It's not a place that I normally would want to be there. Now, these 2 weekends, the festivals part is this. Fall Foliage Festival is going on in Bedford last weekend and this weekend. I don't know how well it went. I didn't look in the paper. It probably went really well. To me, it's a virtual orgy of waste. But the community gets very excited about it. I mean, a lot of people come to Bedford and they spend a lot of money. And they take in a lot of money. There's booths everywhere. I mean, the whole center of Bedford becomes this big, they call it a festival. Well, there's music. I mean, it is a festival. But the point, though, is really exchanging money. To the extent that you can't even park anywhere near you, people have to be bussed in. So in a way, it would be a great time to protest. I thought a little bit about changing it to Saturday. It's Saturday and Sunday, and having a sign that says "Buy nothing." Don't buy. That it explained a little bit about the damage that the waste does to the planet's biosphere. But anyway, it's almost like, I think of it almost like a fever or delirium that happens in Bedford, and I think that would probably, at the moment in Bedford, do more damage than good if I would do something like that. And plus, people probably just blow it off because there's so much stuff to see. I think of Vanity Fair in Pilgrim's Progress, where the pilgrim had to make his way through Vanity Fair, which was hard to do to get on the other side. But after 2 weekends, it's over. But there's no doubt about it that humans can be very gregarious. I think that's sort of the word for people who they love to gather into groups. I'm not like that. I've never been like that. But football stadiums, baseball stadiums, concerts, people seem to like to do that. Some people do. Now, I'm saying that the future will be people who are decentralized. I'm quite convinced of that. Whether people do it willingly or it's just forced upon them, ultimately they will abandon these centers and they'll go back to the land, back to the countryside. I'm sure of that. But there's no doubt about it. A lot of people do love, they're drawn to get together with lots of other people. Just not me. Now, violent protest. I've come out and I actually offered a threat of violent protest. A hammer like this, it would be better if it were straight clawed, and this isn't a chipping hammer, this is a curved clawed, carpenter's hammer. It can do a lot of damage really fast. And I'd said earlier, I think of it hopefully never really used to do so much damage really fast, but it's a threat. And people should be aware that things are not necessarily secure. I'd said earlier, it's so much easier to disrupt things, to ruin things, you could say, than to create things. And what would be by far the best if there would be a very rapid cultural shift, if people would simply decide that they don't want to go out at night, that they won't take jobs at night, that they won't use their headlights, that they are going to look for the job or find a way to work fewer hours, etc. The various things in a week, the various things that decentralists and degrowers. This is not yet completely involved in degrowth and decentralism are values that I follow, they're beliefs that I have, that we do need to degrow. Now, even Greta Thunberg, whom I speak about a lot, I'm not sure if she's, in words, she hasn't exactly embraced the concept of degrowth, but I think it's all around her. What I think of her saying is, listen to the science, do something. If you had to just say in a few words, what is she saying? Listen to the science, do something, but do what? I mean, there's the catch, and I would say degrow, which is still not that easy to do. All right, bye for now.